Hello and congratulations on getting access to this video course that will show you how to use your web hosting panel, in this case the cPanel, which is what the majority of web hosting companies use. And we're going to show you how to use it to effectively run your website. See, what I've seen over the years is a lot of people tend to forget how powerful cPanel really is. And in doing so, they often go about buying fancy scripts that cost a lot of money and don't realize that they can use cPanel for free to do the exact same thing. So what I'm going to do in this video course is to cover several things that are crucial to running your website. So this is video number 1, the introduction to cPanel. So the premise is this: there are so many cPanel videos out there on YouTube that cover basic features of cPanel. But the problem is that they never really dive into the core of what cPanel really offers. And that is my goal in this video course. So this video course is not only going to show you the features of cPanel that you can use for your website, but also parts of it that can really help you truly take your business, take your website to the next level of success. And it's not just about maintaining your website and having email accounts or things like that, but really taking it to the next step. So here's a quick overview of what we're going to talk about in this video course. This is, of course, video number 1. Video number 2 is how to use the video tutorials feature. Now, because we're not really going to cover the basic features and all of that, I want to point you to this place because that way you can always refer back to it if you need to. And in this particular video, I'm also going to show you how to change the layout and design of the cPanel, because there are different layouts. So some of you might be seeing a certain layout, whereas some of you might be seeing a different layout. And I want you to know that they're all the same. The only difference is usually the icon that is used. So as long as you look at the words are the same. So I want to make sure that I cover that so you don't get lost along the way. And just be aware that it might look slightly different. Video number 3, we're going to talk about how to create and insert data into a MySQL database. A MySQL database is a standard database that pretty much most all PHP scripts or web scripts use. Now, there are videos that show you how to create MySQL databases, but there are not a lot of videos that show you how to actually edit the database, because this can actually come up at a later date where knowing how to do this actually is very, very crucial and a very good thing to know, so that if you do run into problems, you can actually fix them by yourself. Video number 4, we're going to talk about how to use AW Stats, which is a statistics program that analyzes and shows you what is happening inside of your website. And we'll talk about how to apply it to your business. Video number 5, we're going to talk about what is Softaculous and how to use it. Some of you might see that you have a software program called Fantastico. If you still do, keep in mind that Fantastico has been no longer supported. It has been replaced by a program called Softaculous. And we'll talk more about that and how it helps you and how it benefits you and how it can help you run your business. Video number 6, we'll talk about how to set up an error and redirect page. The reason why you're going to need to have this set up is over time, you're going to set up pages, you're going to set up posts, you're going to delete those posts and pages. And if Google has indexed that page, for example, and somebody clicks on that page, they're going to see an error page, and guess what? Most likely you have lost that potential subscriber, potential fan, or even potential buyer. So in that case, you're going to make sure that you want to redirect all of your error pages to your front page or any page that you desire to do. So we'll talk about that in video number 6. Video number 7, we'll talk about how to use File Manager effectively. Believe it or not, you're not going to need to have any fancy FTP programs to upload files like videos, zip files, or any files. So I'm going to show you how to use File Manager so that you can pretty much do everything within cPanel if you understand how to do it right. Then of course, video number 8, we're going to talk about email authentication. This prevents people from abusing your email address. And I'll show you how this works, why you need it, and all of that in that particular video. And of course, last but not least, I'll talk about how to back up and restore your website, which is crucial. There are many different scenarios, many different situations that you need to be aware of to protect yourself. Because guess what? Setting up a website, not having it backed up, not being able to restore it, it's a nightmare. You've spent hours, days, months, even sometimes years or even decades on your website. You want to make sure that you have a backup copy to be able to restore it if you need to do so. And there are other cases as well. For example, let's say you are using a web host and the web host goes bankrupt. You know, there are many different situations beyond just the basics. And I want to make sure that I cover that so that you're aware and you protect yourself. So obviously what you need is you're going to need to have cPanel. So that's it. Let's move on to the next video. Hello and welcome back. This is video number 2, and we're going to talk about how to use the video tutorials feature, or how to get access to the video tutorials. And we'll talk a little bit more about the layout and all that so that we can get on the same page. So not all cPanel users are aware that you can actually get access to the video tutorials. cPanel itself actually offers you a lot of basic tutorials within its website so that you'll get access to understanding, okay, how do I use this feature or how do I use that feature? Because we're not going to be able to cover every single feature in this video course. In fact, what I'm trying to do is cover videos that are really not covered, more in-depth views rather than just how to use cPanel in general. So once you log in, what you need to do is scroll down all the way down to the bottom and click on documentation. And at this page, you will be able to access the video tutorials. And as you can see, there are a variety of different types of documentation, like videos and also written documentation. Now, it used to be in the past where cPanel would add the video tutorials inside of the cPanel, but now it is actually on the outside. So I want to make sure that you understand that so you know where to go if you ever need to get access to some basic video training. Now what I want to talk about is the user interface. Some of you will have different user faces than what you're seeing on the screen here, and that typically is because of the style. So you can actually change the style. So most of you will have something that looks like this. And it really depends on your web hosting company. Some web hosting companies will actually customize the cPanel with their own user interface, with their own icons, and all of that. Now, what usually holds true and stays the same is the actual words on the sections and on the actual icons. So the icons will be slightly different. And the reason why I'm going over this with you is because some people might be confused because it looks a little bit different. So what you can do is up at the top, you can click on this little person here and click on change style. Now, if you click this, you will be sent to this page. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more so that you can see it much clearer. So there are different styles and different skins, as we call them. And the basic one looks like this. And then we have the dark version. But if you'll notice, the icons are very similar and very much the same. The only difference is the background. So the light version, the same as well. So I would say the majority of you probably have something like this. Now this is the very old style. Some of you will have this and you'll see this, but it's all the same. But if you notice, the similarities is the section name, and then of course the actual name of the option. So for example, file manager will always be file manager, and so forth. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go back up here, and currently I am on the retro style, But let's say that I am going to use the basic style. So all you have to do is look through the styles that you want, click on apply to the one that you want, and it'll reload with that style. And that's it. Now, if we go back to the main screen where all of the options and the features are located, you will see this. So like I said, depending on the style that you choose, it might look slightly different. But at the end of the day, typically the things that do not change are the actual titles of the options. Like file manager is going to be file manager across the board. Now you're going to see different sections. Some of these sections will be different. Some, as you can see, you can actually move these sections around. So I can move this section further down here. So just keep in mind that yours might be a little bit lower, yours might be higher. So really depending on the web hosting company, some will leave it at default and some will get all fancy and move things around and customize it with their own logo. But it's all the same thing at the end of the day, unless you're using a web hosting company that is not using cPanel, which are very far and few. So let me just run through real quick. So you have files, you have file manager, you have images, you have directory privacy, which enables you to tell the system who can actually access certain directories. We have FTP accounts. We have backup wizard, which will show you how to use later on. We have disk usage, which will show you how much disk space you have left. And then of course you have databases, which is phpMyAdmin, which is where we're going to actually look at the database. But first you'll need to create a database first, which you can do either here or here. You don't really need this. And these are for advanced users here. Then you have domain names such as site publisher, add-on domains, subdomains, redirects, and more. We're not really going to cover this, but subdomains, as you know, it's basically adding a keyword .yourdomain.com. So it's going to be a subdomain of the domain. And then of course you have email, which you're going to be able to create email accounts here. You're going to be able to create autoresponders. And in this case, the sense of autoresponder is just going to respond with an email. So you could set up an email address and tell people, hey, email this address and you will be sent an automatic response, an email with a secret code or something. You could do that. You could also forward all email from one email to another email here. We have email authentication, which we'll talk about more later. And we'll have spam assassin, which will enable you to protect your email address from spam. Then we have metrics like AW stats. There's other metrics as well, but these are different types of stats. And then of course you have security, and then IP blocker allows you to block IP addresses, and hotlink protection is great as well. So if you click on hotlink protection, what this will allow you to do is say, okay, I've uploaded a bunch of zip files and I don't want so-and-so, some other website, linking to the zip files and then getting people to download the zip files. So you can actually prevent other websites from linking to you and basically essentially using up your bandwidth. Then you have software, which the majority of these you will not really use. You will run into Softaculous, which we'll talk about later down the road. And then of course you have advanced options like cron jobs, which you will usually set up whenever you install a web script. And all these other things you won't really use as much. You will use error pages, which we'll show you at a different video as well. Then we've got preferences, which is just change style, change language, and all of that, change your password. And then of course you have Softaculous.